Hello everyone, so today I'm gonna talk about my Daioujou White Label clear. So, the first loop, there's nothing much to say about it, so I'm gonna talk about other things. So I just kinda learned how to change stage 1, stage 2, a little bit of stage 3, a little bit of stage 4, and stage 5, so I don't get bored too much. Because this is mostly a survival clear. There are basically no scoring at all, but if you only try to survive, the first loop feels a little bit like a waiting room. Because if you have very consistent route for the second loop, there's basically no danger in the first loop, or at least nothing is really dangerous if you don't want to take risks. So yeah, it's interesting to learn some chaining. But yeah, let's talk about the game a little bit. So White Label, so definitely this game is a lot harder than Black Label, so not in the first loop. The first loop is almost the same difficulty, I would say, a little bit harder for sure. But the second loop is a nightmare. For different reasons that what people usually thinks. Like, usually people think it's because of the resource system that it's so hard, but this is definitely not my feeling. Like, for me, the main reason why this game is so hard is because of the hitbox. The hitbox is huge in this game compared to Black Label, so you can't really get lucky at all with the dodges or anything. You really need to be extremely confident in what you do and not make any mistake. So yeah, that's the biggest point for why this game is so hard, in my opinion. The hitbox, the very big hitbox. And the other one is that in some section you don't have any slowdown. So the game is really fast, and when you die in Black Label, everything goes so slow, so you have a little time to breathe a little bit and reorganize yourself, but not in this game. In this game, everything goes back very fast, very quickly. So yeah, really hard game in the second loop. So yeah, here, first loop. So yeah, first boss. As you see, I just full change the stage, but my hyper management is really bad if you compare it to super play. Like, I'm missing 30% of hyper gauge, at least. Even more compared to other spell play, so yeah, really far. Nothing is optimized at all in this run. I'm just trying to survive, and I'm gonna make some mistake in the first loop because I really don't care. I just want to get through the first loop and go on with it. So yeah, very interesting game. So this has been a side project for me for quite a long time. So I kinda learned it, unlearned it, learned it again. But yeah, I decided to stick with it for the last 2 months of this year. I'm pretty happy I finally got my clear. But yeah, really insane game. We are gonna see that in the second loop. So it's very interesting because you can have very different approaches for the second loop, especially. Like my two main inspiration for the routes and some strat I used are Omkol and A.S Asagami as well. Two very interesting player. Omkol worked on that game for a very long time, and he has very interesting and very consistent strats. So definitely one of the best run to watch if you are ever interested in clearing that game. And A.S Asagami is a great player who has a ton of incredible clears, and he cleared this game with all ship types. So this is very interesting. And speaking of ship types, here I'm using type BX. So for different reasons. At some point I thought about using BL, and usually in Black Label people know me for playing A expert, but yeah, I decided that for pure survival I feel better with BX for some difficult section. Like, I feel like the shot is very strong, very interesting in some sections, so it really reduces the danger, and I'm not really bothered by the speed of the ship, so that's fine. So yeah, but we'll see that in the second loop. But yeah, here you can see I'm just doing some very basic chaining strats. Nothing is optimized. Here you want 5 hypers or 4, and I have only 3. Very bad. But this is not really the goal. Just playing safe, basically. So yeah, first loop. Nothing much happening right now. So we'll see on the boss fight. I'm gonna play very safe. Usually if you want to optimize stuff here, you want to have 1 hyper gauge and almost a full hyper gauge. Here I get 2 hyper gauge, so I don't need to hyper the first phase. But yeah, the score is definitely not my goal in this game, and I don't think I will ever score this game. Like, I played it quite a bit, and I don't feel like I will stick to this version. I'm gonna definitely go back to Black Label. But yeah, I don't think I'll try to chase a great score in White Label. Especially how insane this game is. But yeah, here, stage 2 boss, and here I'm gonna use basically a mix-up. It's inspired from the second loop save strat. Like, I use the safe spot at the beginning of the second phase, so I can deal a ton of damage and finish it with the hyper. Okay. So yeah, now stage 3, stage 4, and stage 5, this is where my chaining is really, really bad. Like, I never really practiced to get it consistent. So I'm trying basically to use the same routes as I use in Black Label, but it doesn't work exactly the same in White Label. There are some small differences and stuff. You don't get the hypers at the same time. So. And several chains are harder in White Label usually. Like, the mid-boss chain in this game is absolutely insane if you want to go for it, which is absolutely not my case here. And there are a few chains on the second part of this stage that are way harder in White Label than Black Label for some reason. Like, the timing between the enemy waves is a little bit different. So yeah. So here, we just keep going. Yeah, nothing much. But yeah, what is really interesting to talk about in this game is the second loop. Like, as I mentioned before, there are many different ways to go with the second loop. Like, Omkol, for example, I was talking about Omkol before, has a very, very strict route, and it basically cannot make any mistake. Or basically, he can do one mistake in the whole second loop. So this is really, really tough. And my approach is a little bit different. Like, I can definitely make mistakes at several different points into the loop. But basically, I have a decision tree in my head, and if I make a mistake at some point, I need to adopt a different route, and if I make a mistake at another point, I need to adopt a different strategy. So it's a little bit hard to explain, but it's interesting. The idea of this approach, which is I like it a lot, is that you can definitely allow yourself to make some mistake and still get back on track, so still have some hope to clear. But yeah, the thing is that you really can't do many mistakes into the loop. Like, before the final boss, into 5, you are allowed to make 1 or 2 mistakes, maybe, depending on where you make the first mistake. So yeah, really hard game into the second loop. And the fact that the hitbox is so big is really insane. Okay, here I broke my chain, which is a little bit sad. I would get more hyper if I didn't. But here this chain in White Label is insane. Or not insane, but way harder than in Black Label. So usually I kinda practiced it at some point to get it, but I decided in the end that yeah, just not gonna bother with it for a survival run. So yeah, for now, no miss, no bomb. We are fine. We are doing fine, we're doing great. And we arrive on the stage 3 boss. So yeah, here I'm just gonna use my hypers to destroy the last pattern, because the first phase is not too bad. Here you have some random dodging, but it's fine. Here, this pattern, you need to know what to do, but once you know what to do, it's really not hard at all. Sometimes it can surprise you, depending on the movement of the boss. If the boss decides to go all the way to the left, when you go to the left, you can get trapped a little bit in the corner. But other than this, really, it's fine. You just need to not move too much, in fact, on this boss fight, and know what to do, and you're fine. And here we go for the final pattern. Pretty easy to read, to be honest. Yeah, compared to Black Label, I find it. Like, it's way faster, and all the bullets are big, but the fact that all the bullets are big make it a lot easier to read, I find. But the problem is that you have a big hitbox. Yeah, it's not easier at all. But I definitely like the fact that you have only big bullets in this pattern in White Label. Okay, and now we reach stage 4. So here I have some chaining routes. Basically, my chaining routes in Black Label are heavily inspired by Fufufu in White Label, so I can use basically the same route. that I use in Black Label, but I'm gonna make some mistakes here and there. Some timings are a little bit different, a little bit trickier, I would say, in White Label. And if I recall correctly, here the first part is very consistent, but I made some silly mistake here that got lucky. Like here, this is so bad. That's a silly mistake. Like my switch to shot to laser was really bad, so I didn't kill the Zakos at the right time. I almost got trapped. Got lucky there. And here this section is very hard and a little bit different too. Like the beginning here is really the same as Black Label. And, this is supposed to be the hard part, so it's fun that I do it properly. But it's on the easy section, like I really didn't try to adjust too much my timings to change consistently in White Label, so yeah, I'm gonna make a small mistake. And there we go. There goes the chain. But yeah. Stage 4, really, if you want to play fully for survival, it's so easy. Like, if you have consistent route for the second loop, the first loop feels really safe. There's nothing dangerous. But I'm gonna make a silly mistake soon. Like, usually when you score, you want to activate your hypers after the door here. I'm gonna make a very stupid mistake. So here we go. So yeah, basically this is my Black Label routes. And here I activate my hyper early, like, got trapped by the bullet. And I died. So yeah, this is the first death, but I lose a lot of points there, but I really don't care at all. Just annoying that when you die, you go back one power level down with a typical expert type, but this is better than shot type and laser type. Like shot type, you lose basically all your laser power, and with a laser type, you lose all your shot power. And here for the mid-boss, you can see I use an interesting strat. This is the hyperless strat. Basically, you stream the waves, you destroy one side, and you want to destroy both sides before destroying the main part to get the extra life. And yeah, I just go start on one side and just stream, wave by wave, until I reach the right side, and then I jump. And then I just need to misdirect up and down the big waves of bullets fired by the main part. So yeah, basically, just be careful of the shells, and then misdirect the big bullets, and you're fine. But yeah, in the second loop, it looks easy when it's done right, but it's easier than done. I die on this mid-boss quite a bit in the second loop, because I have a strange strat into the second loop, we'll see that. Okay, here we're fine. And this is the point where I'm gonna make a lot of very stupid stuff. Basically, I'm gonna be here. Oh, I kinda learned how to change the stage 5 to do a full chain. So here, I just let the bomb float around, and I want to play safe. If there is a problem, I can hyper bomb and then grab the bomb and get the hyper back. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to save an hyper for the final phase. So yeah, here this pattern is okay. Into White Label, I find this pattern easier for some reason. Like, you don't have the very bad ranges that you can get in Black Label. But yeah, big hitbox, that's always something to think about. And here it was extra slow because I died not too long ago. But yeah, usually I shouldn't have any problem with this boss. So here you can see I wait for the right configuration, so I didn't get the right configuration. So I'm gonna wait. Go down. And here just wait for see the next configuration if I get it. And I think here I decided to try another strat and go to the right, which is very stupid. I never do that, and I'm not used to it. And you can see it that I read the trajectory wrong and ran into a bullet. Very silly. Usually I stay on the left, but decided for some reason to go to the right there. You can go to the right, but I'm just not used to it. And I paid that with my life. So this is silly, but what is even sillier is that I'm gonna die again. But yeah, as long as I have at least 2 extend entering stage 5, I don't feel threatened at all. I can no miss or one miss this stage pretty easily. But you need to be careful because the final boss is a lot harder than Black Label. I find the 1-5 boss a lot harder in White Label than Black Label, so definitely I want to have at least 1 extend on the boss. Other than this, I don't have really any other problem. So, what is interesting is that sometimes player absolutely want to have one hyper entering the second loop, but that's not really how I routed this game. So basically I have a strat for 2-1, depending on if I have one hyper or not, and I just change a few things. Because in 2-1 you have a lot of things to think about. The most important thing is your hyper management. In 2-1 you really want to have a precise hyper management, because if you want to play extra safe, or as safe as possible, you need to have a perfect hyper management when you reach the boss. So you get a hyper cancel exactly on some specific timing. And this is gonna be very interesting, because I'm very happy about my 2-1 routes. Like, basically, I do think that my 2-1 is extremely safe. Like, this is the thing that people think that the second loop in White Label is insane because of the resources and the resource system, that you lose everything, and 2-1 is so stressful. But basically, you can route 2-1 in a way that there is no danger at all, or at least as few as possible. And you're gonna see that in my 2-1 I don't dodge any bullet at all during the whole stage. So yeah, definitely this is something that I do think that I've seen many players try to go for a 2-all on White Label, and I often thought that that 2-1 needed a little bit more work, because you really don't want to risk anything in 2-1 and 2-2. So I do think that it's very good to have extremely consistent routes there, and I'm pretty happy with the routes I got. Okay, here we reach. So yeah, I'm just playing safe, so I kind of have a good chain there, but I think I'm gonna make a mistake at some point, gonna die. But yeah, if you're used to full chain this stage, really 1-5 is really not dangerous at all. Yeah, here I'm just gonna hyper because I don't like the speed of type B, and sometimes I get surprised by the big fireball hitboxes. So just hyper to cross the other way. And yeah, usually the last part of the stage after the 3 mid-bosses is pretty chill, or at least very consistent, but I'm gonna make a very stupid mistake at some point. So yeah, here we go. And yeah, very stupid mistake. So yeah, I didn't fit properly between the two lanes. And rip the chain. So here I'm just gonna play extra safe, because I really don't want to restart. Like, I feel extremely silly when I need to restart the first. Like, basically this means I was not paying attention at all. Okay, yeah, I'm using my shot to finish that tank. Should have killed it earlier, but yeah, that's really a big problem. Yeah, here I hyper here because doing that section in hyper mode makes it a lot easier. Really not necessarily at all, but just everything dies a lot more quickly, especially the big enemies. And here I go up, so I can go between the lanes and just use the hyper to finish the stage. Yeah, playing very safe here, trying to stay outside of the blue bullets. And there we go. So yeah, 1-5 boss. In White Label I find it a lot harder, so the problem here is that my rank is low as well, so I'm not gonna get a easy first pattern. I need to dodge a little bit. Usually you can use a very simple strat if the rank is high enough, but when the rank is low, it's harder for some reason. So yeah, I use the bomb here, and this pattern is a lot harder in White Label for some reason. Or at least the timings are completely different from what I'm using in Black Label, so really, I'm not really good at all on this pattern in White Label, but it doesn't really matter. With one bomb, you can easily get through it. That's why I let the bomb float around, so I could use my bomb and grab it later. Okay, here basically you wait, and you just need to watch and take the information early to see if you need to macro dodge or micro dodge. And the final pattern, which is kinda static, kinda easy, but I still miss it in White Label sometimes because big hitbox, and I'm lazy, but here there's not really any problem. Like, I have one extend, even if I die I can just press the bomb button twice and get through the first loop. So this is fine. And yeah, I know that I fulfilled the condition to reach the second loop, so don't really care. So yeah, some people here would have used a shot bomb here, so they wouldn't have killed the boss on the first bomb and then got the hyper drop after the second bomb, but yeah, I really don't care. In fact, I prefer not having an hyper to start the second loop, so that's why I didn't try to get it. And that was the first loop, so yeah, nothing much happening there. Just a little bit of silliness on stage 4 boss, and that made it more stressful than it needed it to be, but that's fine. And now 2-1. So here is where the good thing starts. So basically, the idea here is I don't want to dodge any bullet in this stage. So I have extremely safe route, and this is why I really like Type B and Type BX. Like, the shot is so good that really you can deal with the Zako so efficiently that you really don't need to deal with the small red bullet that the Zako fire at any point. Basically, you macro dodge all the small red bullets. Here you position yourself on the tower, on the right or on the left, depending on this direction in which they are turning around. This is fine. So yeah, I do some chaining, because I want to control, to have a very precise hyper management. And the idea is that even at some point I can break my chain, but I have some backup. And my backup have some backup, so I really need to have a perfect hyper management on the first stage. So yeah, here you can see I'm playing very safe. Here is some part that can be dangerous, and that's why I'm using my shot very efficiently here. And that's why here I'm using only my shot to kill the big enemy. Usually people are tempted to use the laser, but if you do that you will get some small bullets, which is bad. And here's the same. I really don't want to dodge through the small red bullets at any point. And you see, there is not any really difficult dodge to make at all. And especially this last session, I've seen so many people try to do some very risky stuff here, when basically you can have an extremely safe route here. So basically here I never fail. I have a route, I take always the same gap, there is no dodge to make. So you saw a small tap up to dodge the last small red bullet, but basically it's not a dodge. I saw there was one small red bullet, so you can make a small tap up. And here's the boss, so extremely precise hyper management, and here you get a cancel. Sometimes you can mess up here on where you want to get the cancel, so you need to be prepared to make that dodge, but you really don't want to make it. And here you just destroy the boss, because you have many hypers in stock, and the needles are very easy to dodge, so yeah. Really, this is a very simple setup to deal with the first boss. And here, so yeah, here you can see I was using my laser to kill more Zako quickly on the side, so I don't have to dodge anything. And here I'm gonna use my shot a lot, so I'm sure to kill all the Zakos. And here I'm dealing a little bit to chain, but this is really not important. If you break your chain here, it's not a problem at all. So yeah, stage 2-2 basically is the same. If you respect everything, there is no danger. But yeah, you need to play, to be careful. There are a lot of small details you need to pay attention to. So here, be careful. Here I don't go too fast, because sometimes you can get surprised by a Zako from the side. But that's why Type B is so good here. The shot is so powerful and has a good reach on the side, pretty far away from the ship, so you can make a lot of stuff a lot easier this way. So I enjoy that a little bit, a lot. Okay, and here we reach the mid-boss, which is completely random and very dangerous. That's why I'm gonna use a very safe strat. I'm just gonna wait for the bullet to reach me and hyper through it. You can dodge it with good RNG, but I really don't want to take the risk. And with Type B I can deal with the last section very efficiently. So that's why I like this strat a lot. So yeah, basically here you need to misdirect things very efficiently. Like, I'm waiting for the big waves of bullet from the big tanks to know when to move. And here I'm gonna make a very brutal movement to the right here, so I can create myself a very nice gap. Here I made something a little bit stupid. I went up to grab the hyper medal and almost messed up everything, which is silly. But yeah, basically here I really don't want to get a second hyper, so that's why I'm not grabbing any bean to the chain. And here I will just be able to do the safe strat. Basically, let the bomb float, hyper, bomb. So I'm gonna use a shot bomb to grab the other bomb, and then a hyper bomb to deal a lot of damage, and then the boss should die. So I should have waited a little bit more for the second bomb, but it was dangerous, so... And yeah, then get on top of the boss and hyper. And this is over. But yeah. Basically, stage 1 and 2 into the second loop can be extremely consistent and extremely safe. That's why, for me, the game starts now. Like, 2-3, 2-4, and 2-5 are absolutely insane in this game. So this is where the true game starts, for me. Like, as I said, I have many backup, but I really need to get through the 2-3 stage. Like, I can die in 2-4, I can die in 2-5, I can die on the 2-3 boss, but before that, it's very annoying to take a death. So this is basically the most straightforward place for me into the game. And I really don't like the big turrets into this stage, because with the big hitbox in this game, it feels so scary to go through some of them. So here, yeah, I'm just really not using an optimized route at all. I'm trying to spam my shot as much as possible, and here this section is, for me, the most dangerous thing. One of the most dangerous things. Like, here I'm gonna use my hyper to go through this big turret, but the first big turret, I need to go through it, and it can be really dangerous. And here, this section, yeah, I went through 2 very small bullets, it's scary. And here, the timing to go down is I wait for a hole in the cloud, so you can see a small hole in the cloud at some point, and as soon as I see them, I go down. So yeah, point blank the mid-boss and go down. And here, I didn't kill the mid-boss exactly at the right timing. He lived a little bit longer than expected, but I can still use my shot, as you saw. So I can just finish him and stream slowly to the side. And after that, you have the safe spot, but yeah, everybody knows the safe spot. But yeah, this safe spot only works in White Label, not in Black Label. Just so you know. And here's the second half of the stage. I don't really try to chain, so sometimes I try to chain a little bit, so I can get as many hypers as possible before the boss. But other than this, I just try to play as safe as possible, so I'm gonna probably break my chain here, but the idea is to play safe. And really, when you play safe and deal with the Zako properly, there's really not anything dangerous here. You need to kill everything in order and know where to position yourself, but once you do that, there's really not any problem. So yeah, here, just go around the bullets, kill all the Zakos and you're fine. And yeah, here I'm broken and break my chain. It's really not hard to chain here, but yeah, my timing was wrong. And here, yeah, just spam shot, misdirect, and you're fine. And yeah, here, trying to point blank this big enemy as soon as possible, so that's why I unfocused a little bit to go on top of him as fast as possible. And yeah, it's fine. There is a lot safer strat from Omkol from the last section, which is interesting. You're gonna break your chain, that's the thing I didn't like about it, because I really want the hypers for this boss. But yeah, it's interesting to look into it. And so this boss, very interesting. So I really don't want to die on the first phase, so I need to be very careful. Very hard boss fight. But if I die on the first phase, basically I have a backup strat and I'm trying to go for Omkol routes. And same if I die into the second phase, I try to go for Omkol routes. But other than this, my idea is to no miss no bomb this boss, and use the hyper I have to go through it. But sometimes if I hyper too early in the last pattern, I can bomb, because I can still get through 2-4 without dying, even without the bomb. So that's the idea. So usually I try to go through. So here if I'm forced to hyper early on the last pattern, which is insane, here I'm doing very well, and I'm gonna kill it only with the hyper, which is very good. But if I hyper early, and I see I'm gonna die, I use the bomb as well to go through. Because I have a strat to go through the ray guns in 2-4 without using any bombs, if possible. But here this is the best, because I got through the boss, I have one bomb, so if I want, I can bomb the ray guns as well. But yeah, this is very nice. So 2-4. Interesting stage. So the beginning is very consistent. You just need to respect your timing very well. Like, when you switch from one side to another, you really need to respect your timings. But other than this, really, there's nothing dangerous. Yeah. Here, this dodge looks scary for people who don't know, but it's basically static. So you always position yourself the same way, and you always get through it. So this is fine. And here, this section is very, very safe. Just play it slow. Basically, if you get impatient in that section, you can make a mistake, but if you play it as slowly as possible, basically, your shot is gonna deal with anything dangerous. So yeah, basically, don't try to get impatient here. Just wait. Here, don't try to make a crazy dodge or anything. Just wait for the lanes to properly form themselves, and you will see that dodge very easily. And here, this section, you need to be on point with your timings. So basically, you have some misdirection and timings to respect. But as soon as you understand that, it's very, very consistent. Here, for example, this timing is a little bit tight, and here I only move horizontally. If I try to do a diagonal, I'm gonna get shot by the bullets. So it's very important that my movement is fully horizontal. And here I have a very interesting strat. This is basically how I deal with this section without using an hyper. So yeah, the idea is that I don't want to use an hyper for this section at all. This way I can save all my hypers for the ray guns. So I'm gonna go through that section without using an hyper. So yeah, the section right after the door is can be very tricky if you don't use an hyper, but that's the idea. I don't use an hyper for that section. I don't use an hyper for the mid boss. This way I will have 5 hypers on the ray guns. So here I need to jump and unfocus to go up. Very important, else you're gonna die. And here, just misdirect up and down. And there you go. And here we start the ray guns. The 5th hyper is dropping down, which is nice. So yeah, basically here, try to destroy the cartridge as fast as possible. And then deal with the Zako very efficiently. But yeah, the idea is really to destroy the cartridge as fast as possible, because this is how you get trapped. So here I need an hyper, yeah, very well. And with 5 hypers, this section becomes a lot easier, like everything dies so fast. And if I want, I could even use a bomb here, but everything is gonna go well. A little bit scary there, but I know the speed of the ship quite well, and I knew I had the time to go around these bullets. So yeah, not really any risky dodge. And here I'm just gonna try to get 70% of hyper dodge and not grab that bomb. The fact that I have one bomb in stock and a full bomb stock, basically, is very good, and I can let that bomb float around. So this is a backup bomb. I don't really need it, but this is very nice to have that. So here, you can always go through the first and second bullet on each side. It's a very consistent gap, it always happens this way, so don't try to always macro dodge everything. And here I can hyper at a good time, so I had a dangerous dodge, I was not sure to make it, so I hypered on the second pattern. And I got a very nice cancel for the third pattern, that's why I wanted 70%. And here, yeah. So you saw I used the bomb to get through, grab the hyper, and if I was in danger before grabbing the hyper, I could have used the other bomb as well. This is why this is so good to have. And now I just grab the hyper, one hyper in the back, so I'm fine. I'm just gonna try to destroy the first phase here without using an hyper or anything. And I'm just gonna nuke the last part using an hyper at point blank. So here, yeah, just point blank, and wait for the red bullets, and just before they reach you, you hyper and go on top of the boss, and bye-bye. Very easy. Very, very clean boss fight. And there you go. And this way I can enter stage 5 with 5 extents. So that's basically a perfect beginning of the loop. And now to 5, there are definitely several mistakes in this stage, but this is interesting. The beginning is very hard. Don't underestimate the beginning. And here I'm gonna make a C mistake. I'm gonna forget I have a bomb here. And I thought I was dead, and I got saved by the cancel here. And here I have a very specific strat. I wait for the bullet to appear and do only horizontal movement and always go through the same gaps. This is very consistent. But this is a strat I worked a lot on. It's not as easy as it looks. Yeah, basically don't ever underestimate the first part of the stage. It's really extremely dangerous. And I got lucky with the hyper cancel. So here I'm gonna delay, not gonna kill. I'm killing this guy on the 3rd wave of red bullets. And here I'm gonna use my hyper on the 6th or 7th wave. Usually I want to use it on the 7th wave. This way I really want to destroy it as late as possible, but without any risk. Because I really want to have as less Zakos as possible after him. So here you see, not any dangerous dodge. And this way, with type B, I can go all the way to the left and just trim. And this is pretty safe. And here we reach the beehive. And this is why I love the type B, because the beehive is so clean with type B. So here I'm making a small mistake. I should have killed this guy earlier. Usually if you do that right, he doesn't even have the time to shoot any bullets. But here you can macro dodge everything. Here I position myself a little bit wrong and I have to dodge a little bit more, but it can be a lot more clean. But this is still pretty clean, basically I don't do any crazy dodges. And here I mess up my timing. Like, usually I can make that dodge, but basically it's very easy if you do it right. But I did it wrong, and I can use the hyper as a backup, and basically don't have to dodge anything. But yeah, usually if I make it right... So here I stayed on the left to kill an Izako. So yeah, be careful of that. And this mid-boss, usually it's fine. So the pattern is static, but the rotation is random, and it can be very dangerous. It's quite dangerous. But yeah, you want to usually stay on the left, because you can get out of the pattern, as you saw. And here, I'm gonna die, yeah. So basically, when you enter the stage and you have one bomb, only one bomb max in stock, you can only have one bomb, you want to die at some point to get 2 bombs. And for example, for some people, like Omkol, they have a plan where they die on purpose on this section, but that was not my case. I want to die at some point in this stage, but usually I have another suicide point way later into the stage. This way there is less chance that I made a mistake. But here I made a mistake, so I died. But this is not too bad, because... so now I have 2 bombs max in stock, which is not too bad. But the problem is that I use my hyper after that, and I don't have an hyper here. And I really usually want to have an hyper for that section. We will see why, but yeah. This is a problem, because here with an hyper, usually I kill the first core and I go up, and point blank the second core and I can destroy it before he can fire. But here he has the time to fire 1 wave and I have to make this very annoying dodge. And here I'm late on everything. Like, usually the fact that I had to make that dodge basically made me late on everything. So here I'm gonna use my hyper to get out of that situation. Usually I can finish the stage without using any hyper, and optimally this is what I want to do. But if there is a problem, I can use an hyper on this section to get out and without, and I don't have to make any silly dodge. So yeah, here this section is always nice to go with an hyper, but you can deal with it without an hyper as well. Here I go up, very important to go up, so this dodge is very easy if you go up. And here's the last section. Here, just don't go too fast. The idea is that if you give yourself some room on the right here, you can macro dodge. And here, if you want, you can just use the shot and kill the enemy with shot, but I want to kill these 2 big enemies as fast as possible, so I can get into place here. So I use the orb on the left and right to know at which height I should position myself, and then go down for 2 waves and go up for the 3rd wave. And very easy, you can deal with that. So here, basically perfect setup. Almost an hyper dodge. 2 bombs in stock, 1 bomb floating around. This is what I want to have. And here I made a very silly mistake. I tried to dodge. I should have bombed, probably, maybe. But yeah, I died, which is bad, but I had 4 extends, so this is not too bad. So that's a good thing to have more extend. And here I want to bomb, grab the bomb, and bomb again. But really I want to grab the bomb before bombing again. And the first death is very annoying, because the cycle of the bomb was altered, like the timing was different, so I had to survive a little bit longer there. But this is fine. I managed to bomb, grab the bomb again. This way the hyper didn't drop. You really don't want to make the hyper drop. And if you bomb twice before grabbing the bomb, basically if you empty your bomb stock, you will make the hyper drop, which you don't want. And here, basically, I really don't want to feel this second hyper gauge. That's why I'm gonna use my shot a lot. If you wonder why I use my shot here, this is because I don't want to feel that second hyper gauge, which is very annoying. So here you see, I spam my shot, and then I hyper, and this now I can use my laser. So good thing in White Label, this boss has a lot less health than in Black Label. Not a lot less, but a little bit less health, so it dies earlier. Usually in Black Label, this boss wouldn't have died this quickly. And here, Hibachi, extremely tight timings. Everything is basically applied. So basically this is a suicide strat. Here the timing for the bomb is extremely tight. Like I know exactly at which point I should bomb, and same the hyper. This way I can deal damage until I have 800 hits here, and at 800 hits I go down, and this way I don't have to dodge this pattern at all. At first I was using Omkol strat, and I had to do 2 or 3 dodge on the third pattern, and I was dying a lot. And I realized that A.S Asagami had a different strat, and basically it doesn't dodge at all the third pattern. So that's the strat I use. And here basically I'm not watching anything other than my hit count. I wait for 7 increase if I don't have an hyper, and when I use an hyper I wait for 200 hits increase before using a bomb. So here, and here I hyper, and this is over. So yeah, this is how you clear White Label. So very tense game at the end. But Hibachi, basically the 2-5 boss is entirely scripted. Everything in this boss fight is scripted from the start to the end. But the nice thing is that if I start the boss fight with 1 more extend, like I had 4 extends there instead of 3, I'm allowed to make 1 mistake. But yeah, basically the hyper management needs to be on point for this fight, and then Hibachi is a very consistent fight if you can do that. But yeah, the main problem I had with Hibachi was the third pattern, and I often lost runs to the third pattern. And I realized that Asagami had a better strat for that, where basically it doesn't need to dodge anything at all. And that makes Hibachi so much consistent, like basically 90% of the time you will kill it with 3 extends. There's basically really no luck involved. But yeah, the other thing is really, when you are on the washing machine, the only thing I watch is basically my hit count. Like in Black Label you can dodge the blue bullets and it's fine, but in White Label it's insane. So unless you are Fufufu or a crazy player, you will die instantly on the washing machine. So the best thing to do is really, you get just under Hibachi point blank, and you just count the increase in hits, like 7 increase if you don't have an hyper, then bomb and go down. And you always want to use all your bombs before dying. That's another big thing I didn't mention. But yeah, basically, and when you hyper, you wait for 200 hits increase and you bomb. And that's how I deal with Hibachi. Basically, I'm not watching anything else during this boss fight. That's why you will be under the impression that I could have waited more after the hyper cancel on the washing machine, but the idea is that I was absolutely not watching my hyper gauge. Basically my haze are fixed on the hit count. So this way I can have the best timing possible, and I don't waste any point blank timing. So yeah, very interesting game to clear. Very hard. A lot harder than I thought it was at the beginning. When you watch it, you don't see too much difference with Black Label and anything, but it's a lot harder. Nothing compared. But yeah, thanks for watching and see you!